Cleveland Browns news to discuss. We've got a Kevin Stefanski presser to discuss. The high of a Victory Monday continues. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to break it all down. Your latest LockOn Browns starts now.
You are Locked On Browns, your daily Cleveland Browns podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends, your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound LGB on the LOB, the Locked On Browns podcast, brought to the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Jeff Lloyd, and we appreciate everybody who makes Locked On Browns their first listen every single day. The everyday crowd numbers just keep growing and growing. Don't miss a thing. Don't miss the action. Subscribe to Locked On Browns YouTube channel. Become an everydayer, and it will be there waiting for you. It will notify you when it is ready to go. Show is always available. It is always free wherever you get your podcasts. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Now through September 22nd, 1 week left, kids. All FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. It's a little easier to roll out of bed on a Victory Monday. The coffee certainly tastes a little better on a Victory Monday. Your boss's yapping isn't as bad on a Victory Monday. Cleveland Browns now 1-1, second place in the AFC North. Pittsburgh Steelers 2-0. Cleveland Browns 1-1. Cincinnati Bengals, Baltimore Ravens, both 0-2 currently. Some news from yesterday's game that certainly kicked off Coach Stefanski speaking today. Certainly, as we all felt and all feared, the worst for David Bell. Dislocated hip. There's really only one way to fix a dislocated hip, unfortunately, and that is surgery. And that surgery will end David Bell's 2024 season. 1 game, 9 snaps. Coach did give him a game ball. 3 receptions on the 9 snaps that David Bell did play yesterday. But unfortunately for David Bell, 2024 is over. Certainly a guy that got a lot of speaking about over the last couple of weeks, just the way it got handled. It was released before week 1, brought right back to the practice squad, brought back up. I guess it was Wednesday, brought back up to the active roster. You speak to many people who were around this football team in the spring and the summer. And as you remember, Amari Cooper kind of doing the holding in. Jerry Jeudy was in and out. David Bell actually was really impressive. There were a lot of people that came away really impressed with how hard David Bell had worked in the spring and the summer. Understanding it was a numbers game, certainly, and Jeudy, Cooper higher in the pecking order. As soon as they were ready to go, they were going to get their opportunity. So for David Bell, who kind of did everything right, busted his butt, unfortunately, the game is a cruel mistress at time. And David Bell, unfortunately, 2024 is over to this point. Agba Anaya Ankarankwo did clear concussion protocol, so should be no issues with number 54, Wwho, going on with the rest of this week and preparing and getting prepped to face the New York Giants Sunday, 1 o'clock at home for the Cleveland Browns. Pierre Strong, a tad bit of a hamstring. I'm going to be honest. I don't know where this team goes anymore with Pierre Strong. Pierre Strong has a lot of great physical attributes. You look at the way he's built, he looks the part. Runs like the wind, yes. Just doesn't have much contact balance. Can't take much contact. Goes down by first contact quite often. Has had ball security issues at times. Pierre Strong, it's getting late early for his time here with the Cleveland Browns. You have 2 running backs who could be back with this team within 2 weeks, which would be Nick Chubb and, of course, Nyheim Hines. So for Pierre Strong, maybe doesn't even get the opportunity to suit up this week. We'll know where this hamstring injury is at. But it's a shame, guy just, had everything we'd kind of need and unfortunately just, can't put it together to this point. Certainly some mention as well from Coach, certainly on whether or not David Njoku could be available this week, and you never knew because with David not being put on short-term IR, you probably felt there was a good chance it wasn't going to be 4 weeks. It didn't necessarily mean it was only going to be 1 week, obviously. But, Coach, and again, we'll take from this what you want. We know Coach Stefanski is never going to give more than he needs to or give, less. It's just the way he goes. He's very vague in his answers and smartly so. But did say I would not rule out David Njoku for this Sunday against the New York Giants. He did seem like when he spoke about Jack Conklin and Jed Wills, he did think that, maybe they're closer. Maybe there could be a possibility. It just seemed like a little different tone of voice. Some people I had reached out to over the weekend felt Jack was close. They felt Jack was pretty close. But there was some question about whether or not, the weather, and certainly there were some elements yesterday in Jacksonville, whether or not they wanted to deal with that. Sometimes, for, veterans, who are coming off injuries, dealing with bad knees, et cetera, a flight is not always the best thing for them. It is not the most friendly thing for them. So yet another reason, but we'll see. It could certainly be a case for, Jack Conklin and, of course, maybe Jedrick Wills that they return to the team this Sunday against the New York Giants, which certainly would be welcomed. Coach spoke, and I think this is probably one of the bigger things that Coach spoke on was the, Amari Cooper inconsistent play early here in the season. And look, I put out a tweet today, and look, it was not a knock in any way whatsoever, Amari Cooper. And it's funny when you put something out on social media, you can put, good, bad. There's so much you can put into a post on social media, and people will literally black out everything but except for what they want to see. Look, Amari Cooper has had a rough first couple of games. According to PFF, to this point, Amari Cooper has 3 drops, along with Elijah Moore, 3 drops to 2 games. Certainly not a great pace to be on by any means whatsoever. Do I have concerns about Amari Cooper? No. Did Coach Stefanski have concerns about Amari Cooper? No. You heard him say today he's seen it work with Deshaun Watson. There's no reason Amari Cooper's relationship would work with Deshaun Watson. It worked with PJ Walker. It worked with Joe Flacco. It worked with Dorian Thompson-Robinson. It worked in 2 years ago with Jacoby Brissett. So, this is just ridiculous to think that there's an issue between Amari Cooper and Deshaun Watson. Maybe Coach is in a funk right now. Understandably so. It's okay. Certainly missed time over the summer. But my point to it was, and the Browns still gave Amari Cooper more money for the 2024 season. Did not have to do it. Didn't have to do it. But that's the way they felt about Amari Cooper, the person and the player. They still felt comfortable giving more money for this season. We're not ready to guarantee any more money after this season. Again, for the 500th time, NFL teams look at wide receivers who are 30 years old the same way Leonardo DiCaprio looks at his girlfriends and says there is a certain age where all of a sudden, and that's just the way it goes. Coop certainly has all the opportunity in the world to redeem himself. I actually like Amari Cooper a little bit more going further because I think I like the fact where maybe Jerry Jeudy, Elijah Moore, David Njoku, or maybe the options everybody think the ball's going to go to. So fine, you're going to put Salter coverage on Amari Cooper, one of the greatest route runners over the last decade in the NFL. Works for me. So the Browns can get better by getting David Njoku back. They can get better by getting their tackles back. They can get better by having improved play from Amari Cooper. Nick Chubb coming back. Nyheim Hines. For what you saw yesterday, it was pretty good. It's getting better. It's not where it needs to be by any means whatsoever. But you need to know there are a whole bunch more talent coming to that Cleveland Browns offense. And that is certainly the thing that everybody should be excited about. We're going to continue here. Your latest Locked On Browns. Appreciate everybody for being along for the ride. We talk all the time. Look, I love sporting events. My wife and my girls, they love their live music. They'll throw in a play every now and then. So when we need to look for tickets, we're looking for them quickly. We don't want to hassle. We don't want to go through one stage, then the second stage, and the third stage, and all of a sudden ticket we were looking at was $40, now $80. That ain't for us. That is why you need to check out Game Time. Game Time even has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands and thousands of ticket. Game Time Picks, the curation makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, etc. You need to go to the all-in pricing. You toggle this feature. It shows the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. So you're not going window to window to window when the number jumps and jumps and jumps. It's just annoying. They give you a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. You get credited 110% of the difference if you can find a cheaper ticket on another app. You also are covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Your latest Locked On Browns continues. I'm your host, Jeff Lloyd. We appreciate each and every one of you who make Locked On Browns your first listen every single day. The everyday crowd, you guys are amazing. We appreciate you. Of course, make sure you subscribe to Locked On Browns YouTube channel, and the show is always available. It is always free wherever you get your podcasts. Now, one thing I do want to correct, and I want to apologize to everybody yesterday. I did have it in my notes, and I know I started it. I didn't finish it. We talked about Dawand Jones and his cramping issue yesterday. Dawand Jones did come back, did finish the game, which leads us to our top 5 graded Cleveland Browns yesterday, according to our good folks over at PFF. I've had some folks ask about John Costco doing some episodes. We always, for years, sat down once a week with John. Problem is my availability right now, and John with his 2 young children involved in sports. So kind of when I'm available, John's done with his football work day and is now going off being a father, a coach, a parent, working with his boys in their leagues. So we're trying feverishly to make things work. There's nobody, besides Pete maybe, but there's nobody else I love talking football with than John Costco. We are going to try to make that work. So everybody, trust me, I appreciate the messages and thank you. We're going to try to certainly make that work. Your top 5 graded players yesterday, Jerry Jeudy. Look, you back a player, when you're in this business, kind of like what we do here. And, you'd like for it to pan out. You'd like for it to be right. And, so far to this point, my thoughts and wishes and wants of Jerry Jeudy to this team. And I thought it was going to be a much better opportunity for him to be here in Cleveland, regardless of who the quarterback is or the quarterback will be, as opposed to the situation he was in with the Denver Broncos. Your highest graded player yesterday, Jerry Jeudy, with a grade over 80. Dawand Jones, a solid 76.0 yesterday. Now, this is one thing with the talk of Jack Conklin and Jedrick Wills being closer to their playing return. These guys are going to battle it out for left tackle. You are not moving Dawand Jones at this point. He is just too good. And the thing is he gives you a future on this offensive line. He gives you some financial relief on this offensive line. Dawand Jones is your right tackle of the current and is certainly your right tackle of the future. Credit to the big fella. He's playing really well. Ronnie Hickman, 75.4. 75.4 for Ronnie Hickman. And, a lot of people want Thornhill. And look, Ronnie Hickman had some plays in the regular season last year. Kind of got his goat gotted in the playoff game against the Houston Texans. But response yesterday, nice effort. McLeod, Grant Tubble was ridiculously good around the line and in the box. Certainly JOK, Jordan Hicks, again, for the 1,000th time, the most under talked about Browns transaction of the offseason, Jordan Hicks. Deshaun Watson, 72.2. Deshaun Watson was your 4th highest graded Cleveland Brown yesterday. And even still, and this is an oddity because NFL passing numbers are ridiculously down this year. Your 12th highest fantasy points getting quarterback in the NFL right now, Deshaun Watson. Irony, huh? Rodney McLeod, 71.9. Rodney McLeod, smart player, going to be a fantastic analyst, still out there bowling in year 15. So you get that type of thought here about guys that did and did not play well yesterday. Do want to single out one more time, obviously, Alex Wright, splitting the double team. So look, Miles blew past that left tackle. And why nobody said, hey, let me go bail him out, they figured Lawrence would step up. Alex Wright, who has spoken about becoming a better interior pass rusher, maybe it's a chance he wouldn't even gotten. Could have been a Mike Hall rep. Could have been a Maurice Hurst rep. Alex Wright gets that rep. 3 tackles on the day. Gets the big safety sack. Tosses Trevor on his butt out of the back of the end zone. Turned out to be a very, very significant play, certainly for the Cleveland Browns in the way the game worked out for them yesterday. Some other players of note, and I will go back to it. Jerome Ford. Look, Jerome Ford, yes, he doesn't have elite vision. I don't even know if he has average vision. I don't know. But Jerome Ford has talent. You can't really improve vision. It's something that you were, innately born with. But Jerome Ford can be a factor for this team. He certainly can be a contributor for this team. Dante Foreman, and look, God bless him. Not all the athleticism in the world anymore. Certainly not the speed that a Jerome Ford has. But sometimes you need guys that are just going to go plug it away, plug it away, plug it away. That is certainly something you're getting from Devontae Foreman. You would certainly love a higher yards per carry than 3. There's no question about it. But when we start to see number 24 start making his way back to this team, it's going to affect Dante Foreman. It is not going to affect Jerome Ford. You can mark my words on that one. Now, also with certainly the David Bell injury, and again, heart goes out for a guy like David Bell. And with the transaction over the weekend, you moved on from Jalen Darden. You brought James Prochet up. And now all of a sudden, you legit probably have an opening in the wide receiver room as far as the rotation. Could it be a Jamari Thresh? There's no question about it. Could it possibly, Michael Woods? Michael Woods I just don't see as a slot guy, guys. It's not the thing, and I've never had this issue with Michael Woods. My God, I don't know why people think I do. But Browns like their wide receivers who can play everywhere. But Jamari Thresh, we saw have a monster summer. Certainly could be an opportunity for him to get some reps. But Kadarius Toney, the Browns, it seemed to me like the moves they were making is they were just getting ready because come week 3, which will be ironically enough, Kadarius Toney would face the team in week 3 in Cleveland that drafted him originally in the first round in the New York Giants. There certainly should be a role there for Kadarius as a return man. But now all of a sudden, and look, Toney's a lot faster, a lot more shiftier, a lot more agile, certainly, than David Bell. But this is another toy you can maybe start to work into this offense. We don't like the jet sweeps, boys and girls, right? We all agree. We don't like the reverses. We're all good with that. You tell me we might try 1 or 2 with Kadarius Toney. It's definitely a different ballgame, in my opinion. So I think this opens up a possibility for either Kadarius Toney, Jamari Thresh, or both to get some more reps within the wide receiver unit. It sucks for David Bell. It certainly does. And look, like I said, you got a lot of things that still aren't working yet for this Browns offense. So once those things start to get better, the interior offensive line, Wyatt Teller, Ethan Posick, Joe Bitonio, between the 3 of them yesterday, there were 4 penalties. Unheard of between these 3 for the way they are playing right now. These guys are all going to improve. We know they are going to improve. And plus the guys that you are going to start get back. Deshaun hopefully playing with a little bit more confidence. Players starting to return here. Hopefully this is the beginning of a nice little run for the Cleveland Browns. But somebody's going to get an opportunity with David Bell being out. Certainly could be the rookie Jamari Thresh, or certainly the former first-round pick of the New York Giants, Kadarius Toney. We're going to continue here. Your latest Locked On Browns. Let's talk some defense. I want to talk some defense. Let's talk some defense. Latest Locked On Browns continues. You've heard us talk about for years our great folks over at FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Well, we have something a little different for you. Now, through September 22nd, this week it closes out on Sunday. All FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then, with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon at a market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel at any time. Just visit FanDuel.com, download America's #1 sportsbook. Your latest Locked On Browns, segment 3. I am your host, Jeff Lloyd, and we always appreciate everybody who makes the show their first listen every single day. The everyday crowd, you need to join the everyday crowd. And if you haven't by now, make a new plan, Stan. That plan is to subscribe to Locked On Browns YouTube channel. The show is always available. It is always free wherever you get your podcast. Cleveland Browns, currently 1-1, victorious yesterday in Jacksonville against the Jaguars. Pittsburgh Steelers, soft 2-0. Atlanta, Denver, I don't want to hear it. Don't want to hear it. Cleveland Browns 1-1. Cincinnati Bengals, look, it was DPI. it got called. You ended up losing. It didn't help yourself, certainly with Jamar Chase getting a 15-yard penalty that he had no business getting, even though Evan McPherson did bail him out. You're 0-2 Cincinnati Bengals and 0-2 Baltimore Ravens. If you had told me the Baltimore Ravens would have started 0-2, I basically would have told you to fit me, for a dress. Just things I did not see coming. So currently, Cleveland Browns sitting in sole possession of second place in the AFC North. Now the defensive side of the ball. Now here's a fun little tidbit. Good old buddy, Mr. Ken Carman. 49% of the Jaguars' plays yesterday went for 0 yards or a loss. Half of the plays the Jacksonville Jaguars ran yesterday went for no yards or less. That is impressive. This defense, Dallas played pretty good. And even still, Jacksonville had more yards than Dallas did yesterday. But this team is getting there. You had your 4 sacks yesterday. You had a sack, of course, from Myles Garrett. You had a sack from Von Jefferson. You had a sack from Alex Wright. You had a sack from Jordan Hicks. You had 2 tackles behind the line of scrimmage for Jeremiah Usu-Koramoah. You had another 2 tackles behind the line of scrimmage from Grant Delpit. It's kind of a Greg Schwartz special yesterday. And look, Jacksonville, you played better against this defense probably in 2023 than you did in 2024. You turned it over more in 2023. You didn't turn it over yesterday. So they knew what was coming. Like we've talked about a lot with the Browns on defense, you shouldn't be surprised. None of these players already knew. It's the same guys you played. If you played the Browns in 2023, you know exactly what's coming on the defensive side of the ball in 2024. Denzel Ward to this point has probably dropped 3 interceptions. Imagine the Browns get those. And those are going to start to come. Martin Emerson, it's a fun guy to watch because he's not like every other corner in the league. Doesn't have elite speed. His game is predicated on toughness, on some physicality, on basically running the route for the receiver. There's going to be some guys who are going to get extended very soon for the Cleveland Browns. One is Martin Emerson Jr., and the other one is most likely probably Alex Wright. Because if you were the Browns, you want to get in on extending these guys, hopefully earlier than later, because these guys are only getting better. And if it continues to go on this pace in 2023, you want to say you had this contract done before. And look what happened last year. You didn't know, and then all of a sudden the wide receiver numbers skyrocketed. So if you're the Browns, you're diligently working with Mr. Wright's camp. You are diligently working with Mr. Emerson's camp, trying to get to some pen to some paper to secure long-term futures for both these gentlemen to remain here with the Cleveland Browns. I think admirable job done by the safeties yesterday. It's Grant Delpit, as we said, played much closer to the line of scrimmage. Very physical. This is the thing with Grant. He can get involved in run defense and be really good at it. He can take away a tight end if he needs to. Surprisingly, they threw more to the tight ends than I thought they were going to, with Evan Ingram suffering that hamstring injury in pregame warmups. You can't change the way a guy is. If your tight end's your guy, you can't just all of a sudden become a wide receiver guy. If tight end's the throws you like to make, you're still going to make them. Doesn't matter if Evan Ingram was not. So obviously for Trevor Lawrence, he still tried to get the ball to his tight end. Didn't work out necessarily the way that they had hoped. And Evan Ingram is a great player. And unfortunately, it was tough for him to not be there yesterday. So hopefully he goes on to have a great season, and Browns will not have to see him yet again in 2024. But you really, really like the way this is all working out for the defense. These guys, they go out there every day. They give it everything they have. They go to the whistle. They play hard. They jaw. They celebrate. They're an absolutely fun unit and probably starting to hit their stride. And played well, certainly yesterday against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And you look in who's on the schedule for this week. The New York Giants. The New York Giants scored 3 touchdowns yesterday, and they still lost to a team that scored 7 field goals. It's tough for what's going on. You see Carolina's already pulled Bryce Young. Look, Bryce Young, I don't know where Bryce Young is going to end up in this league. As you guys knew, in that draft, I was a C.J. Stroud guy. But it's really, really tough to look at Bryce Young and point the finger at Bryce Young knowing the rest of that team is just high-grade dog do. So it is really, really difficult to get a fair assessment of Bryce Young, even though it's not good. It is not good by any means whatsoever. Happy feet, getting rid of the ball, hitting back outs, not even letting the plays develop. There are so many things in Bryce Young's game right now that are screaming that they have issues. But the poor guy is out there, basically, with a water gun, and basically, a pistol fight. It's just a very, very difficult situation. So you wonder how much more the New York Giants are going to go with Daniel Jones. He's had 65 starts in the NFL. Bryce Young's been pulled after 18. Crazy, crazy the way the NFL works. So the Browns keep pushing at it. The defense is what makes this engine go. The offense is now starting to pick up at its pace, and this is all of a sudden where you get improvement, improved quarterback play, improved running play. The offensive line played a little bit better, and you still have a bunch of weapons on the line and skill guys that are coming back to this team. I'm your host, Jeff Lloyd. We appreciate everybody who makes LockOn Browns their first listen every single day. The everyday crowd is a bunch of filthy animals, but they are my filthy animals. I suggest you join the filthy animals by subscribing to LockOn Browns YouTube channel. The show is always available. It is always free wherever you get your podcasts. This has been your daily delivery of all things dog pound. LGB on ELOB. Let's go Browns.